If you've been following me for a while, you probably know I run the Mr. Electric Facebook and Instagram page where we talk about industrial maintenance, electrical work, troubleshooting, and pretty much everything that comes with working in the trade. Recently, I made a post asking a pretty simple question: what's the most valuable skill a maintenance technician can learn? And this post ended up doing really well. We got tons of responses from electricians, mechanics, maintenance technicians, millwrights, and people who have been doing this kind of work for years. And honestly, there were some really good advice in there. So today I picked out 5 responses that stood out to me. We're going to go through each one, talk about why I think it's good advice, and hopefully help some of you who are just getting started in industrial maintenance. Let's get into it. The first response comes from Justin Vega, and it says, learn how to look at the situation or machine as a whole. Don't get boxed in, hyper-focused on one area of a problem. Problem solving under pressure is key at what we do. And I think this is a great piece of advice for anyone. When you're first getting into maintenance, you're not expected to know everything. There are guys who have been doing this for 20 or 30 years who still run into problems they've never seen before. The important part is being willing to learn, ask questions. Pay attention when experienced guys are troubleshooting something. And when you get the chance to work on something new, take advantage of it. Every breakdown you work on is another problem you'll recognize faster the next time you see it. The next response from Ben here says, actual troubleshooting, not just replacing parts. Use process of elimination to narrow down what's actually the source of the problem so that you're not changing things that don't need to be changed. This is another great piece of advice that I think newer maintenance technicians need to hear. One of the biggest mistakes you can make when you're new is feeling like you need to prove that you already know everything. Nobody expects that. Sometimes the smartest thing you can say is, I'm not sure, but let's figure it out. Because guessing around industrial equipment can waste a lot of time, cost a lot of money, and depending on what you're working on, it can be dangerous. Take your time, understand the problem, and troubleshoot instead of just throwing parts at the machine. The third response comes from Danny Brown. It says, listen to the machine operator. They know their machine. They can be your best friend. I really like this one because it comes down to something that separates good maintenance technicians from great ones. Don't just fix the machine. Try to understand why it failed. Anybody can replace a bad sensor, but why did the sensor fail? Was the bracket loose? The cable rubbing against something? Was it getting covered in oil? Was the sensor being hit by the product every cycle? Finding the root cause is what keeps you from coming back and replacing the same sensor again next week. Fix the problem, not just the symptom, and the operators can be the best people to know this. They work with the machine every day. They know it the best. Use them and use their information. And the fourth response comes from Bosman Taylor. It says, to not be complacent. No matter how long you've worked on machinery, to always respect and acknowledge the dangers. Lock that shit out. And this is something that becomes more important the longer you work in maintenance. When production is down, everybody wants the machine running again. Operators are waiting. Supervisors are asking what's going on. Management wants to know how much longer it's going to take. But pressure is when mistakes happen. Don't let someone rushing you cause you to skip steps. Work safely. Verify what you're doing. And remember that getting the machine running 5 minutes faster isn't worth somebody getting hurt or damaging the equipment. The fifth and final piece of advice that I wanted to talk about comes from Aaron Strickland. How to read a schematic and use a meter properly. I have worked with too many technicians that didn't know how to use a meter. It's dangerous for him, and more importantly, it's dangerous for you if you work side by side with them. This might actually be one of the most important responses on the whole post. Maintenance is one of those jobs where you never know what you might be doing that day. One day you might be troubleshooting a 480 volt motor, the next day you're looking at PLC logic. Then you're working on a hydraulic cylinder, an encoder, a VFD, gearbox, or something you've never seen before. You don't have to become an expert overnight, but you need to know what you're working on and how to understand it. This is one of the most important pieces of advice I can give to somebody is always keep learning. You need to know what you're doing. Those were just 5 responses, but there were a ton of good ones on the original post, and I think the biggest takeaway from all of them is that if you're new to maintenance, stay curious, stay humble, work safely, and never stop learning. You're going to make mistakes, you're going to run into machines that make absolutely no sense, and you're definitely going to have breakdowns where you spend 2 hours troubleshooting something just to find out it was one loose wire. That's part of the job. Every one of those situations makes you a better technician for the next breakdown. Now I want to hear from you. If you've been working in maintenance for a while, what's one piece of advice you wish somebody would have given you when you first started? Drop it in the comments. I might take some of the best responses and make a part 2. And if you enjoy maintenance, electrical troubleshooting, PLCs, motors, VFDs, and real world trade content, subscribe to Mr. Electric. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.